So, about a month ago, this video called I Played 100 Games of Tekken as a Noob was released by this semi-popular Smash Bros. YouTuber, content creator known as Ludvix. And I just want to discuss it and give my opinion on it, because this video really is a textbook example of how not to learn fighting games. It's bad. It is just the way he approaches everything is really wrong, and I want to give some insight. So I just want to give some backstory about myself, of course. I played Tekken. I love Tekken. It's my favorite fighting game. I've played a shit ton of Tekken. And recently, about 6 months ago-ish, I've been playing Street Fighter and taking it seriously, competitively, on and off, right? Because of Street Fighter 6's release around the corner, I've been basically grinding. I was in Silver before, and I never really played the game really that competitively. I played G, and I played a few other characters here and there, but I never really took it that seriously and spent a good amount of time on it trying to actually improve. Now that Street Fighter 6 is coming out, I've been taking it more seriously, and I've gone from Silver to Super Plat, and I'm about 1,000 LP away from Ultra Plat, and my goal is to get to Diamond before Street Fighter 6 comes out, and I have no doubt at this pace, with the way I'm learning, that I can do that.
So, quick post note, I just said I was Super Plat, but by the time that I've finished editing this video, I've actually now become Ultra Plat. So, yeah.
Now, I've been playing for about 6-8 months-ish, but I haven't really been playing consistently. I've been taking weeks up to months off from playing it. So it's more like 4,000 to 5,000 matches that I've played, give or take. And I basically want to share my experience with Tekken and how he approaches learning Tekken wrong, and compare it to my journey of improving in Street Fighter. Hopefully this video may help some of you guys who might be, stuck in a fighting game or having trouble learning a fighting game, because I feel like a lot of reasons people find fighting games hard or are stuck is often because I feel like it's more the way they approach it and approach learning. So basically that's about it. I'm going to be comparing his journey of learning Tekken in 100 games and all the no-nos he does, and I will also be comparing, of course, my journey learning Street Fighter, and also I want to compare two similar situations. So recently, Punk the God, a professional Street Fighter player, has been taking up Tekken, and he's been learning it super well. And I also want to compare it to an old situation that happened, God, how long ago is this? 4 or 5 years ago? Where Leffen, a professional Smash player, also tried to take up Tekken, and he played, I believe, 300 games or so, and got to Genbu. And basically compare all of these things and how to learn and how not to learn. The first thing that I'd like to mention about this is the first character that he plays is Kazuya. And that's usually the first character a lot of people play. People often gravitate to the dude on the cover just because they expect them to be simple, right? They expect the protagonist to be the character to basically learn the game with, right? And in most cases that's true, Ryu, very simplistic. He gives you all the tools that you need to succeed. He's the jack of all trades, master of none. If you were playing Ryu, you were playing Street Fighter, right? Liu Kang / Scorpion, I guess they like putting Scorpion on the cover, but both of them are very simplistic characters. I don't mean to be that guy, but everyone in Mortal Kombat really is a simplistic character. Take like Guilty Gear, Soul Bad Guy / Kai, very simplistic character. Fireball, Soul Bad Guy, Fireball-ish, DP, everything you need to basically learn the game, right? The basics. Nothing too complex, very straightforward moves, decent at everything, jack of all trades, master of none. Kazuya is, and Mishimas in general, are not that. They are very much not that. In fact, they're almost the opposite of that. They are horrible main characters and horrible characters to play on your first time. The sort of Shoto-like jack of all trades, master of none kind of character that will teach you the game is supposed to be Paul, right? He's supposed to be the character that's supposed to basically be the dude on the cover, right? He's the character you're supposed to learn the game with. Kazuya, though, he's not, right? He has no real universal moves. Down forward 1 does not have universal down forward 1. Down forward 2 does not have universal down forward 2. These are moves that are with a lot of characters, right? And the thing is for a good dude on the cover, you should be able to basically just pick up and play them and sort of not even know like a general game plan or what moves you should use, and be able to use them to a sufficient degree, right? Without looking up anything. Kazuya is not that. Kazuya is very much not that. Picking Kazuya, you can't play him without being able to wave dash, without being able to health sweep, and even without being able to electric for some extent, right? You can't play a Mishima without being able to do those things. Just his normals, even without things like, wave dashing and all of that stuff, just his normals, he has stubby normals. This is part of his character. He is a knockdown 50-50 type of character, and vortex 50-50 type of character. And he's not a good character for beginners. And he switches characters quite a bit, but ends up landing on Noctis. And I like to say, you don't have to marry a character, but when picking a character, you really need to do your research. I think this is a very important thing. Look up a character overview, any game. Street Fighter character overview, Tekken character overview. You'll get a video from that blasted salon. Let's do a little experiment. Let's look up one right now. Street Fighter. Fuck, I can't spell fighter. Character. Overview. Boom. Street Fighter view. Wow. This one is in 2 parts. Character overview. How to find a character for you. And we'll basically break down the general game plan and what to do with characters and give you a good idea. And of course, that blasted salami video. Just every fucking character on the roster, right? You can look up these character interviews, but it's a lot of things to do. It's a lot of things to watch, and it's a lot of information. And I honestly don't suggest doing that. And some people just look at a tier list and it's like, oh, who's the guy at the top? I'll play him. Pick a top tier. That's kind of a thing, pick a top tier. Some people go and they pick a low tier. Some people just pick the dude on the cover. Some people just pick all these things. And honestly, I think that's a horrible way to do it. I honestly do. I think all of those ways are wrong. I think the best way to pick a character is pick the character you think looks coolest. And I'm being dead ass here, because the first thing you need to understand is you don't have to marry a character. Pick a character that you think looks cool. Play them, and if there's something you don't like, then you don't have to play them anymore. For example, when I first started playing Street Fighter, the very first character I think I picked was Alex. I thought he looked the coolest. I thought Alex was the coolest looking character on the roster. And I played him, and I played maybe 70 matches or something with him, and I ended up just not liking him. I didn't like his moves. The only special move that I liked using was chop, and his other moves were charge, right? And I didn't like using charge. I'm like, I'm not holding back for no fucking character. So what did I do? I didn't like using charge. I stopped playing him. I went through a plethora of characters. I started playing Balrog. Same issue. I liked the character, but I didn't like doing charge. And he's a charge character who has to do dash straight a shit ton, right? So I stopped playing him. I played Vega, and I thought he was cool. And I'm like, dude, this character's dope. I like jumping off the walls. I like doing all this shit. This is kind of cool. And then that's kind of a gimmick, though. I realized that's kind of a gimmick, and he's just super random and inconsistent. So what did I do? I stopped playing him. And, I started playing G, and I thought G was dope as fuck. And why did I pick those characters? I just thought they looked cool. And I landed on G, and I have maybe 2,000 games with G. And I've enjoyed playing him. He's a little random. He's a little inconsistent. He relies a lot on robbery, and I was never really that good with him. And when I started taking the game competitively and seriously, I switched. I played Zeku, and I played Zeku a lot. I got 2 Ultra Gold with him, and I decided, well, this character has problems. After, a lot of time playing the character, I realized this character has a lot of problems. And I don't want to get into that because I can make a whole video about how dog shit that character is. I genuinely believe he's bottom 5, and I think he's really trash. I think he's really, really, really bad. And is a character that nobody talks about, and the reason nobody talks about is because nobody fucking sees him. And the reason nobody sees him is because he's fucking dog shit, and he's also boring, too. And now I play Urian. I've kind of grown past the whole, ew, I don't like charge. I've grown up a little bit, and honestly, I like it. Now I honestly can't imagine. I went back to G and Sagat and Seth a couple times just to, see the what's what, characters that I haven't played in a while, characters that I've played a little bit, and I just can't imagine playing a character without charge anymore. I like it. and I like Urian. I think he's a dope character, and I really want him to come back in Street Fighter 6. So, you change, and your understanding of the game changes. And like I said, you don't have to marry a character. And I say switch characters often, switch characters frequently, but understand what they do and understand why you're switching. If there's still a lot more you can learn with the character, don't just switch. And of course, there's always more you can learn with the character, but if you don't like something about a character, you don't have to keep playing them. You don't have to marry a character. I say just pick a character that you think looks cool. If it's Gigas, it's fucking Gigas, dude. And then look up a guide for that. Look up a guide how to play Gigas. And watch that. And then take notes. And if you try to play Gigas and there's something you don't like about Gigas, there's a lot to not like about Gigas. But if you don't like that, then maybe you want to switch. Maybe Gigas isn't the character for you, right? Maybe you want to go and play, big guys who just go, punch things. Maybe you want to play Jack. What the fuck was that? And then, look up guides for Jack. Look up pro play. That's a very important aspect of learning a new character is look up top level players, look up Anakin. And is there any fucking pro players that play Gigas? I don't think so, but that's a very important aspect. You don't have to marry a character, just pick a character and learn how to play them. If you don't like them, you don't like them. You've got time. You don't have to become Tekken God Omega in a fucking month, right? Who gives a shit if you're switching characters all the fucking time? Just learn them, And if something sticks and you really like the character and you want to find out more about them, keep playing them. But anyway, I'm digressing a lot. I could make a whole video about picking a main, and I could talk an hour about how Kazuya is a bad beginner character and a bad guy on the cover. But he ends up settling with Noctis, and like I said, don't marry your character, and he does follow that, and that's good. And I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here and say that it's only 100 games, which to someone who doesn't play fighting games, or someone who doesn't know, maybe 100 games is not a lot. Now, when you hear 100 games in most team-based games, so League of Legends, Overwatch, R6, a lot of these games, the games are 20 to 30 minutes. 20 to even 40 minutes, right? Some of these games can even take up to an hour. So 100 games in those games is a lot. That's a lot of games. Fighting games like Street Fighter and Tekken, not so much. Because think about it. Well, in those games, they're 20 minutes to an hour, 20 minutes to 30, 40 minutes, right? In Street Fighter and Tekken, matches often only take 1 to 3 minutes a game, right? A game often only takes 1 to 3 minutes, not very long. Each round in Street Fighter is 1 minute and 30 seconds. You can only go up to 3 rounds. So the maximum amount of time is 40 to 30, I mean, not 40. The maximum amount of time for a Street Fighter match is 4 minutes and 30 seconds that you could possibly go out if both rounds you time out, which I've never had that happen. And in Tekken, it's a first to 3, and each round it's a lot smaller. You die a lot quicker. So it's only 60 seconds, 1 minute, right? So the maximum amount of time it can be is, 5 minutes? If every single round you time out, which I've never seen that happen either. So most games in both of those games will only take about, 1 to 3 minutes, right? Not very long. And to get 100 games isn't very hard. You can easily do that in a day. No question. You can easily play 100 games in a day, especially if they're back-to-back. Now, realistically, there's going to be times in between queues, but if, let's say, you played every single match back-to-back, and let's say the sum of every match is about 2 minutes, 100 games in 2 hours, easy. You can easily play 100 games in about 2 hours. Realistically now, there will be queue time in between games, but yet again, those aren't very long. They're not as long as other games because they only need to find one other player. It doesn't matter what rank you are. You need to find one other player. And those games I talked about prior, they're 5v5 games, all of them. Overwatch used to be 6v6, but now it's 5v5, right? So all of those games, they need to find 10 players around the same skill level. In this, they only need to find one other player. They can be 5 people online, and you can find a variety of matches with just circulating through those 5 people. And by the time you circulate through all 5 of those people, if you're playing multiple matches with them, rematching them, playing multiple sets, there will be new people online by the time you're done playing all 5 of those people. So 100 matches, I will give him the benefit of the doubt, is not that much. You can easily play 100 matches in 3 to 4 hours, right? He settles on Noctis, and why, I don't really know. I don't think he plays Final Fantasy. I don't think he has any history of playing Final Fantasy. The reason I believe he picks this character is because of Noctis's 2-2 It's a 2-2-2-2-2 string, right? It's super easy to do. You mash Y. You mash 2-2-2-2-2. And it's a mid-high mid string, I believe. And he uses this, and this is the first thing I want to talk about. Probably the biggest thing, right? He uses this move because it's easy to do. And at a low rank, like the Dan ranks and teal ranks, it works. It works because it's, people aren't going to block everything, right? So the way this move has a lot of problems, first of all. One, it's not a natural combo. I think the first 2 hits are natural, and then after that, they can just block that shit. 2, there's no other routes, right? He just does that. It's just 2-2-2-2-2-2-2. And it's mid, high, mid, right? 3, you can duck it. You can duck the 2 highs there, and because there's no other routes, it's not like he can just go mid, high, mid, or he has like an option where he goes mid, and that's it. You can just duck that safe and launch him, right? If your character has a well-standing launcher,
Here's an example of that. This guy goes in, he goes in to use the scrub killer, right? Ludvix goes in to use the scrub killer in quotations, okay? Mashing 2-2-2-2-2, and this Kazuya ducks. Now, I doubt he knew what the string was, or when or how he should duck, but he ducks, right? And all he does is just dick jab him, right? But, as you rank up, shit like that just doesn't slide. It'll slide less and less and less, and people actually familiarize themselves with the strings and familiarize themselves with their characters too, and know how to deal with things like that. Even if he didn't know Noctis's string, if simply he knew, oh, I twin pistons if I duck something, and I can fuck a guy up for that, right? Even if he just knew that, he could just fuck this guy up for doing that. Yeah, great example right there. And even by about green ranks, I'd say if Kazuyas are really, duck happy and just looking for highs to duck, they'll know how to twin piston you, and they'll make sure it hurts for doing some dumb shit like that.
First recorded example of someone actually ducking the scrub killer,
which most characters do. 3, sidestep. It's linear, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's bits that are linear. I'm pretty sure the whole thing's linear, right? I'm not going to fucking sidestep him because I can just duck him and launch him if he does that, but nobody fucking does that, right? It's a bad string.
I don't know how I forgot this, but it's fucking punishable. It's -14 if he completes the string. He's -14 your face. It's not good. Don't just put yourself in a minus situation, especially a punishable situation, where now they're just going to have just guaranteed plus frames to fuck you in the ass with. And some characters can even, really hurt you for being -14. And I think it might even force crouch, so like Kazuya with twin pistons can fucking launch you. So that's not good. But maybe I might be wrong about it forcing crouch. I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with the string because, like I said, you don't see it later. Because it fucking sucks.
And here's the part that bugs me. If a new player sees the string as bad, or doesn't see the string as bad, I'm not going to blame them, right? They may not know any better. They may not know it's bad. And that's fine. They'll learn at some point. But the thing is this guy, he identifies that this string has problems. He notices this string has problems, and he even goes so far to call it the scrub killer. And if you see through his matches, he uses it and abuses it. And just goes 2-2-2-2-2, just mashing that shit, right? And it works against some people, and it's the scrub killer. It kills scrubs. Perfect. It has problems. He understands it has problems. But he knows at a low level, people won't properly stop him from doing it, right? Prevent him from doing it. But yet he encounters a couple people who do know how to deal with this string. And the thing is when you use, there's a lot of scrub strings in Tekken, right? There's a lot of strings. Every character has them. Every character has these gimmicky strings where it's like they have one route, and it's like, if he does this, I can just do this, right? And he does it, and he fights opponents that can probably deal with it. And instead of stop doing it, he keeps doing it anyway, even though he has established that these players can stop him from abusing the string. And now, this is the thing, though. He called it the scrub killer. Now the only scrub it's killing is you. Take, let's say, I play Bryan, right? Bryan Fury has this string that I used to love using. I still use it sometimes. It's a very fun string. It's sidestep 2-3, right? This is like the Bryan equivalent of the scrub killer, right? It has no other routes. It's just a mid and then a low, right? He can delay the low, but it doesn't really matter. He can't really take his turn back. It's too awkward. He's -9 if you block the mid and don't continue the string. So you can't really take your turn back and do like that. And then mid, it is a counter hit launcher, but you're too minus to really do anything. It's not a good string. It's bad, right? But it is a scrub killer for sure. You can get all kinds of cheeky games off this. People don't expect it. People don't see it much. And I used to abuse this all the time. I still use it. You know, I've thrown out my fair share of sidestep 2-3s. Then I'd like to admit, okay? I've thrown numerous amounts of games from just sidestep 2-3 because I thought they wouldn't block the last hit, right? That is a scrub killer. But the thing is when I sidestep 2-3 and I notice they block it, right? I'll go in and I'll sidestep 2-3 and I notice they block it. You know what I do? When they block it and I get punished, I believe it's -13, but you can low parry it also. You know what I fucking do? I stop using it. I know the problems with this string. I know the problems with this string and why it is bad. And if I know that my enemy knows it has problems too and knows how to exploit them and deal with them properly, I'm not going to use it. It's gone from my toolkit during the whole time I've played those matches, right? If there is a move that has problems, stop using it if they're exploited. I'm not saying don't use fake strings every once in a while, right? There are time and places for fake strings, but if you're sacrificing your games for them or relying too heavily on them, you're not going to rank up. You are going to be in a bad position. Every once in a while, you might want to throw one of these gimmicky strings out just to keep them on their toes, right? But if you're relying them as a crutch, if your whole game plan is just, oh, I'll beat him as long as he doesn't know this gimmick, you're not going to get very far. So, but he keeps using it, and this is really a downfall. The other thing I'm going to mention is this guy is almost research phobic, right? He hardly looks up anything, except for, it's so confusing because it seems like he doesn't look up anything, yet he does. He clearly does, because he uses terms like snake edge and hell sweep, and he uses a clip from, you know those fucking, what are those? They're like these, they're basically like, like, what the fuck? What do you even call these? They're these videos that people make where they look really cool and epic. They're these really cool and epic fights. And they're basically one guy, he goes in and he records a character doing all these strings and cool shit, right? Sidestepping, moving around and shit. And the other guy just like reacts to it and does another thing. And it makes it look like sort of an interpretive dance, like sort of fight thing, right? And it looks really cool and awesome. That's not what a real game looks like at fucking all. No game looks like that. But it's cool to see, right? It's just, it's mind-boggling because he uses it. He goes and he's like talking about movement and shit. He talks about Korean backdashing, which I'll get into in a second. But he talks about movement and shit, and then uses that as an example of movement. That's not a real game. No real game looks like that. And he Korean backdashes, right? He talks about it, and he's like, "Oh, this is what real movement looks like." But he never really implements into a game. I don't really see that. He kind of does it when he fights against Jack in, I think it's his 7th game. But he never really at some point, the more you watch his gameplay, the less he uses it. You know, he kind of just forgets about it. And I don't blame him, you know. It's not in your fingers. It's not muscle memory. But you see a lot of people just sucking his dick in the comments, you know, which kind of rubs me the wrong way about how fucking he's such a god at Tekken that he can just Korean back that, you know. Hold on, there's this one comment, I think it's top comment, in fact. And all right, so here's a good one, summarizing my thoughts about the comments section. These are the top 4 comments, right? First one was the one that I mentioned. I love how at the beginning he's like, "Oh my, OMG, I can't remember 5 moves, but also, so I learned how to backdash cancel, no big deal." Like I said, it is no big deal. Korean backdashing is not a feat, okay? And that's the thing about Tekken, and that's why I think a lot of people, it's the hardest fighting game. I don't believe that for 1 second. To be honest, I think there are a lot of actually harder games, not just fighting games, right? I believe that there are a lot more difficult games. And I think it's shit like this
where people hear backdash cancel or Korean backdashing, right? And it sounds scary. It sounds scary. The thing is it's not. Dude, if you smurf, if you've ever made an alt account, if you've ever even played Tekken a little bit, by the time you get to green ranks, people are fucking Korean backdashing. I shit you not. I don't, no exaggeration. People do Korean backdashing in green ranks, and that's like bronze, right? That's like a bronze rank, for example. Okay, and by like some people may not, some people they just still mash and shit, and then don't have much movement. But by like yellow ranks, dude, you can't find anyone who's not Korean backdashing. Everyone's Korean backdashing to some extent. Now, is it good? Is it good Korean backdashing? Does it look good? No. How well Korean backdashing is and how well it looks, how well it is, it varies a lot from player to player, right? And of course, the higher you get up, the smoother it looks, right? But it's not something you should put on a pedestal. It's not hard, and I'm not saying you're a scrub if you can't do it, but it's something you just learn, man. You learn it passively if you at least try to implement it a little bit, right? And it's just, honestly, like, I don't even remember when I learned it, and it wasn't like I tried to force myself. I didn't go into training mode and was like, I gotta learn how to backdash cancel. No. I literally just, I believe I just started learning it just subconsciously because it's like, I don't want to be here. You know, this guy, he's pressing shit in my asshole, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here, and I got to get out as fast as I possibly can. So back and, you know, down, back, down, back, down, back, you know, and I just want to squirm out, right? But it's not a feat. It's not a feat. Don't put things or skills or just anything on a pedestal, because a lot of shit is not as hard as people like to make it seem. You know, like electrics, ooh, they're perfect frames. They're not as hard as people like to seem, dude. I don't play Mishimas. I don't like Mishimas. Fucking, I hate execution. I suck at execution, right? That's by far my biggest struggle in any game. Okay, despite the fact that I play Bryan. But I don't like I like execution. Like, I'm not saying remove execution. I think every game needs execution, and characters with high execution are good and a necessity. But I don't like consistent execution. I don't like having a fucking wave dash. I don't like having to do electric and shit. But I can do electrics. I can do electrics about 50 to 60% of the time in training mode, not in a game. In a game, I'm gonna be under pressure and I'm not gonna be able to do shit. But in training mode, no Mishima experience. I don't fucking play Mishimas, right? I can do them 50 to 60% of the time. Okay. And it's just, you'll build dexterity just by playing these games, and it'll just build dexterity, rhythm, timing, and you'll just be able to do them easier just the more you play, right? Yeah, this genuinely might be my new go-to video for showing new people who want to play FGs. So this guy's a Smash player. You can tell by the fact that he always makes everything a fucking acronym. I actually hate that. But don't yet how to get into them. And that learning process can take time. Oh god, you can tell he's a Smash player by the literacy. Anyway, no, this is the whole point of this video. Of course, this is a horrible video. Do not take notes from this. Not that there's much notes to take, but it's just, yeah, and like mentioning how that certain things are bad habits that work early, but at higher ranks are bad. Yes, of course, he does notice that, but it's not just higher ranks. People are so fucking concerned with ranks. Everything's ranks. Oh, people at this rank can't do this. Dude, you know, people at this rank can't do these things, you know, and it's like, ranks aren't a set in stone thing, right? Dude, I remember I had this, so I watched someone I knew, right, play Tekken, and he was in, it was either orange or red ranks, right? And he was fighting this Kazuya, and this Kazuya had ridiculous defense, right? He had ridiculous defense. Could not open this dude up. And my friend played Harang, right? Who's infamous for, you know, being obnoxious to defend against, right? Hard to defend against. A lot of plus frames, a lot of lows, a lot of highs that are plus, just a lot of fuckery going on the screen, right? He could not open this Kazuya up for shit, right? And he was doing everything. Down 3-4 throws, fucking, you know, all kinds of shit, hell sweeps, you know, going through stances and stuff like that. And this guy was just, his defense was amazing. His Korean backdashing was amazing. His spacing was amazing. This guy looked like a top level player, if not, you know, Fujin or above, right? His defense, this guy had like 3,000 wins or something. He was hard stuck. You want to know why though? He was in, you know, yellow or Genbu ranks or whatever it was. It's not because his defense was fucking phenomenal. The problem is, you know, it's like a video game where you put your stats in certain things, right? When you lose, you may level up and you'll be like, okay, I need to work on this. And you put your stats in different things. This guy put all of his stats, all of his mental stats in defense.
This guy had ass punishing, right? This guy would not confirm combos for shit. This guy did not go for any launchers, right? No launchers. This guy, his whole offense was, he didn't go for hell. He was playing Kazuya, remember? No hell sweeps, no electrics. He hell sweeped a couple times, right? But very minimal hell sweeps. No electrics. Did not even bother going for that. It was just a lot of fundamentals, right? And just pokes, just fucking, what is it? Down back 4, down forward 1, just jabs and shit like that. There was no reward on anything, dude. It was just pokes. He never went for launchers. He never went for any kind of counter hits. He never tried to make an opening for himself. He didn't 50-50, and that's why he's in the rank he's in. But people like to, blanket terms, and it's like, oh, this rank means you can't do this, right? This rank means you can't break throws. Not necessarily. People are always so presumptuous about shit. Oh, this rank means, you like mashing. Oh, this guy's this rank, he's probably just a masher. Everyone's so caught up about the ranks. But to what I'm talking about this for is, it doesn't matter of the rank, ranks don't matter that much. And the thing is bad habits, gimmick strings 2, as you saw, people were dealing with them in Dan ranks and teal ranks. People are learning how to deal with that string because it's not a very complex string to understand. And it's not a higher ranks thing, right? It's just, people are too caught up on ranks, and it doesn't tell you anything about the player. It tells you shit about their win rate, right? Win rate against other players in their rank. Win rate against other dumbasses that they're fighting, right? It doesn't tell you shit about the player themselves. That player could be smart. That player could be very analytical, right? And do well against players that, 50-50 a lot and could be predictable, right? Maybe that player is just an execution monkey, right? They've got amazing execution, but don't think, okay? It doesn't tell you shit about the player. Ranks aren't, who you are, okay, as a player. And what I'm saying by this is what I'm trying to say with this is, don't get caught up on ranks. Don't think, oh, this is green ranks, therefore this gimmicky string will work, right? Because when it stops working and you're in green ranks, what you do now? You stop fucking using it, Don't get caught up on the rank, because it's nothing more than a bunch of skills, right? And if something doesn't work, stop using it. But he doesn't do that, right? He doesn't do that. He just keeps using shit. This last one kind of bugs me. As a somewhat seasoned Tekken player, comma no space, it was so fun watching a new player's journey and seeing you grow and learn as you play. This one bugs me because I want to verify his somewhat seasoned Tekken player status. Especially, it's interesting that he used somewhat. That's not a word people use very often to describe their seasonedness. I would not be surprised if this guy is not even red ranks, not even orange ranks, but even below that, right? I really doubt his seasonedness, and if you watch his gameplay, he doesn't really grow. That's the point I'm trying to make with this video. He doesn't grow in these 100 games. By about game 80, this might be a little bit of spoiler because this is post, my rant, and now this is an edit. By about game 80, he goes back to first Dan. The game thinks that he is not ready to move on. The game puts him as experienced as he is, not experienced. The game puts him as good as he is when he first booted up the game. He did not grow. He did not learn. He just confused himself, and that's the point I'm trying to make with this video. He is not developing, right? He's confusing himself, and he's finding moves that work occasionally, but when they don't work, he gets confused, and he doesn't know what to do, right? And he has too many moves. He doesn't know what to do with all these moves, and he just starts using them without rhyme or reason. And this is why he ends up in first Dan by about game 80 and only gets to fucking teal ranks at the end. Just gets to, I think he stops at initiate or mentor. It doesn't really matter, that's no feat. But anyway, back to the video.
They act like this is like, you need to be some fucking pro at backdash. They act like every single Korean backdash is like a fucking electric, dude. Bro, literally anyone who's played a decent amount of Tekken knows how to Korean backdashing. People in fucking green ranks can Korean backdash. It's not an accomplishment. I promise you, Korean backdashing is not hard. It is easy. Most B&Bs you do in this game, real combos, not strings, not a fucking 10 hit, those aren't real combos. You launch them and you do a normal combo, they are easier than Korean backdashing. Some of them are harder than Korean backdashing. It depends on the character, right? But Korean backdashing is not hard, dude. It's not some fucking feat. And that comment had like 600 upvotes, right? It had 600 likes. This guy, who's clearly never played Tekken, right? 1, thinks Korean backdashing is some fucking feat. 2, thinks Ludvix is some kind of fucking god. That he's just so naturally talented that he can just Korean backdashing, no big deal. 3 is so delusional that he doesn't even notice that he clearly fails and hardly does Korean backdashing throughout the whole video. It doesn't even do it most of the time. And 4, the worst bit, is 664 people agreed with this statement. 664 people agreed with this statement. People in fucking, I shit you not, I'm not exaggerating. And this isn't like, you're a scrub if you can't Korean backdashing. No, people in fucking green ranks can Korean backdashing. That's like Tekken bronze, okay? It's like Tekken bronze. It's not hard. It's not hard. Now, doing it faster, doing it as fast as the pro players is kind of hard, but it's a skill that accumulates over time, because as soon as you start implementing a little in your gameplay, you're going to implement it a lot. And the more you do it, you're not even going to notice you're doing it. You're just going to keep doing it. It's just going to be in your fingers, and it just feels better than just normal backdashing, right? Backdash, wait for the animation, backdash, wait for the animation, backdash. It just feels better, and you're going to do it, and it's become in your fingers. And, you know, you can just go, and it'll just keep getting faster and faster. The movement gets smoother and smoother. It's not like these players go in training mode and they, you know, warm up their fingers and practice, and they're like, I gotta beat my time. It's not like fucking, you know, they're not Olympic sprinters, right? They don't have to, I gotta beat my time, I gotta beat my time, I gotta beat my time. No. There's no practice. I guarantee you, there's no top player that practices Korean backdashing. I just find that hard to believe. I really do. Find me one that says, yeah, I spent hours in training mode timing myself to Korean backdashing faster. No, they just accumulate over time by playing the game, and it gets faster. It's a, you know, it's just, you know, a skill, right? But I don't blame him for not implementing Korean backdashing. You don't need to in 100 games. You don't need to in TL ranks. But yeah, he has a lot of these issues, and with Noctis, he plays, and I'm getting meatied with a fucking goddamn Mr. Beast ad, dude. No, I'm not downloading Honey, you son of a bitch. I fucking hate Mr. Beast. Please don't kill me. Give me money, Mr. Beast. I'm a starving content creator here. So I've talked about all this stuff. It's all well and dandy, right? Common things that, you know, are just not very good. Okay? But the main problem, I think the main issue, and the main thing that you should not do in a fighting game, the main thing that trips people up is confusing yourself. Here's the thing. If you watch his gameplay, right, you start off in first stand, okay, and all he does is just click buttons, right? You don't know what you're doing, you're testing the waters, just clicking buttons, okay? That's fine. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. This is your first time booting up the game, right? But he plays 80 games. At some point around game 50 or so, he gets to TL ranks, right? Blue and initiate. Not blue and it. What the fuck is blue? Mentor and initiate rank, right? Like initiate, he gets to mentor and stuff like that. Okay? He gets to these ranks. And he's still just clicking buttons, whatever, right? And he starts to learn more what's good and bad, right? He doesn't understand other people's characters, but he doesn't really need to, right? Tekken, there's a lot of moves. There's a lot of moves. That's the main thing that deters people from this game. But he starts to familiarize himself with his character and starts to understand sort of more what's good, what's bad, what to use, what not to use. But the thing is he discards that information a lot of times and just throws it out anyway, right? And this leads me to question his even thinking. And he uses way more moves than he probably should. And this is going to be my main point of this section. And by about game 80, 30 more games, he drops all the way back down to first stand. Why? The game, you could say it's random, it's luck. He was playing against better players, right? He just encountered them, maybe the Smurfs, whatever. I don't think they were. You know, the thing is the game thinks that he's now as good. He's played 80 games, and he thinks he's now as good as when he started, when he was just mashing buttons. That's not good. I'll tell you why. He's confusing himself. Because here's the thing. This is the main thing about Tekken, and what deters people. There's a lot of moves. No one's going to argue with you with that, right? But there's not as many moves as you think. It's often disingenuous calling a lot of these moves, you know, these characters have 200 plus moves. A lot of them don't. And a lot of those moves are strings, right? They're not as complicated as you might think. A lot of characters have a lot less than you think, right? when you really break it down, and some of these strings are not usable, some of these strings are hardly used, some of these moves are hardly used. And when you break it down, characters really don't have that much moves. It just seems like that, right? A lot of these moves are also universal, and and this is what deters people, but it's not. But the thing is you don't have to use all of these moves, right? You don't. And he does. He uses a lot of different moves. I'm going to bring this as an example, right? This is a common problem with newer players, I feel, is they feel like they need to use a lot of moves. The more moves I know how to use, the better, right? The more things I know how to do, the better. It's not true, right? He uses all kinds of different moves to check them from crouching. Down, what is it? What the fuck is Noctis's DP launcher thing? Is that down forward too? See, now I think he has universal down forward too. I'm gonna have to check Noctis's moves list real quick.
Wow, I didn't even notice this before, but this is it's right here. It's right here. He even says it himself on why he's getting confused.
It's so hard to remember to use my super armor move, my parry move, my everything move.
He says it's so hard to use my parry move, my super armor move, whatever the fuck, right? What I'm trying to say here is you don't have to. You don't need to. You don't need to use all your moves. You don't need to use your power crush. You don't need to use your parry. You don't need to use all these things. If you want to learn how to implement that, then do that. But don't feel pressured or necessary to do that. If you think it's a good idea, maybe, but understand the risk that you're taking by maybe going for your super armor move or your parry move, right? But if you feel like it's not beneficial, that it fails more times than it works, then maybe it's not worth doing. Right? Maybe you should just, like I'm saying, build a simplistic flowchart and build upon that. He straight up says it himself, and that's the thing that nobody mentions about fighting games. Start simple and build upon the concepts that you have, and then you will have a complicated game plan. But the thing is you won't see it as complicated. That's the thing. None of these top level players, you see these top level players and it's like, oh, it's so complex on what they're doing. They don't see a damn thing that they're doing as complex. They don't see a goddamn thing. All right, they do not see it because you'll never see what you're doing is complicated because you start from a bare bones skeleton, sort of flowchart, and you build upon it and you put the meat on it, and then it becomes something. But you always have the remnants. You always remember it as that bare bones flowchart, and you never really realize that what you have might be impressive, what you have might be really good until someone sees it and is like, wow, you're really good at Tekken, and then that's when you're like, huh, maybe I am. And it's, this is with a lot of things, this is with, athletes, bodybuilding, especially, if you work out and stuff like that, you always remember yourself as that, when you were scrawny or fat or whatever shape you were in before you started working out. And then when you actually get some musculature, when you actually look really fucking good, you don't see that though. And this is where a lot of body dysmorphia comes in from bodybuilding and stuff. You don't see that. And you always compare yourself to other people. You see other people who look fucking great, right? You see, you see professional bodybuilders, you see people on Instagram, you see people on social media. And it's like, dude, they look so good. And you never think that you look good until, you see a hot chick or something, someone, even a friend, and they go, hey, yo, you're kind of buff, man. When they give you one of those, then you feel good. And it's like, maybe I am kind of buff. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same way in Tekken. It's the same way in anything. You start from the very bottom and you build upon that. Don't overcomplicate things. Rome isn't built in a day. Your flowchart isn't built in a day. Your muscles ain't built in a day. So just don't overcomplicate it. And he even understands that he overcomplicates it, but he doesn't slow it down. He doesn't say, maybe I don't need all these parries. Maybe I don't need this power crush. Maybe I don't need this and that move. Maybe I shouldn't be taking this risk with that move. Maybe this scrub killer is not really going in my favor. I should try something else. He never really says that. He never comes to that conclusion. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't come to that conclusion, then you should now. If something's not working, take a step back and think about it.
And he does a lot of mids, a lot of different mids, and a lot of them punishable, a lot of them not safe, a lot of them not good moves just to throw out, some of them just dog shit in general, right? And this is the most important thing, I think, about learning fighting games, is to not confuse yourself. It's to not overcomplicate things. Pick a handful of moves and just use those. let's say, for example, I don't really know Noctis. I don't play Noctis. I never have. But let's say, for example, I'm playing Bryan, right? This is my main, okay? And I want to stop the enemy opponent from ducking. What do? Right? Bryan has enormous amount of mids to choose from. And I'm going to choose one of those mids because, let's say I'm teal ranks, I'm in Dan ranks, right? And I like to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, right? I just like to do that, and it's like a 50-50, okay? In those ranks, it basically is, all right? So, but I'm having a problem, right? I do jab, 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 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, whatever, but I'm having a bit of a problem. They're ducking me. What do? I've got a variety of moves to choose from, right? I have down forward 2, great move, right? Down forward 1. I have forward 3, knee strike, right? I've got back 4, why not? I have 3, okay? What else can I use? I don't know. Let's take those 5 moves, right? The thing is I don't need to use all of those, right? A lot of new players, they want to prevent someone from ducking, and they might try to use all of these moves. Maybe even try to do back 1 to prevent from ducking. Oh, this guy keeps ducking me. I can down forward 2. I can fucking back 4, down forward 1. I don't need to use all of those. Pick one, right? And just go from there. They're ducking me. If for a new player, I would tell them, they're ducking you, and you're playing Bryan, down forward 2. Don't do anything else. Ignore knee strike. Ignore down forward 1. Ignore, back 4, whatever you're using, right? You don't need to use all of those because all these moves have specific uses, but if they're just ducking, if all you care about is ducking, down forward 2. And build upon that. And for most characters, if you want to prevent them from ducking, just down forward 1. Bryan doesn't have a universal down forward 1, so it's a different situation, but if you just want to prevent them from ducking, down forward 1, right? Noctis has a universal down forward 1. You just, boom, down forward 1. You don't want them to duck, down forward 1. You don't have to do something crazy. You don't have to do, what's the DP move thing Noctis has? Is it down 2? Is it down 2? Where he like does the, DP sort of swing thing? I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't play Noctis, but super risky. Mid launcher. Don't do that. He's got the shield bash. I see him do that a lot. I don't know if he's doing that to stop them from ducking. I don't think he is, but you can do a less risky option, right? Just keep them in check, right? Don't overcomplicate your game plan. I wanted to take a moment, and I was going to actually play Noctis, right? I was going to try and get to Genbu with Noctis, using as simple of a flowchart as possible. Right, similar idea to a Street Fighter YouTuber / streamer, ceelows. Ceelows has this series where he basically tries to build a very simple flowchart with different characters. He'll be like, this will be my 4-frame punish. This will be my 5 or 6-frame punish, right? And he'll just go through that and be like, in neutral, I do this. I do this when this. And I feel like those videos are very educational, right? And the reason they're educational is because it's not like, oh, look how good I am. I can, simplify my moves with this. Oh, look at, look how bad these players are. I don't even have to use hardly any of my moves to do this. The reason they're good videos is because the point of them is to show you how little you can use and still succeed, right? Show you that you don't need to learn everything all at once, okay? Learn the game bit by bit, right? Learn how to use a couple tools and then build upon them, right?
Well, I just want to chime in real quick because this brings me back. I remember seeing this and I was thoroughly shocked. So I just want to chime in real here. This is ceelows, right? I like a ruffian. I remember this match very much. The first time I fought it, and I was genuinely confused. As you can see here, this video was posted 8 months ago. 8 months ago. And you can see this player here. You can see this player right here. This might have a familiar name. This guy in silver, this foolish G-main, that's me. That's me. And I lose. I don't know what the fuck that was. I don't know what the fuck that was. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm pressing spin kick here. This is much before I started the YouTube channel. It's much before I started doing anything. Or actually not. This would be right before I started doing it. But yeah, this was 8 months ago. And now I'm ultra platinum, right? I've went from here, genuine silver, not super silver, not ultra silver, with what I considered my main. And now I'm ultra platinum. At this point, I would never imagine. And I'm playing fucking G here, right? Probably the best anti-airs outside of having a DP in the game, right? No anti-airs here.
Nice.
And I can do that, and now I'm leveled up. And what do? I just don't want to block a fireball. I'm gonna mash spin kick here. Gets jumped in. And yeah. V reversal, I don't want to block. Dude, I don't even V reversal anymore. I don't know why the fuck I'm V reversing that. I don't even V reversal now. Tries to get loopable Oki, command grab, can't do shit, no confirm. Like, tries to anti-air with EX spin kick. I know that was a fucking anti-air. I know I tried to anti-air. I purposely, that was not like I'm just EX spin kicking. I purposely tried to anti-air with the EX spin kick there. Random low crushing, that overhead was a misinput. I never used the overhead. And yeah, I get timed out here. Right? This is what I'm saying here.
Oh, very nice.
Like, I've went through 2 characters at this time. 8 months. Went through 2 characters. Went from silver to ultra plat in 8 months. And what I'm saying is, dude, you gotta get washed to get clean.
Nice.
That's really what this is. No conversion there. Yeah, this is hard to watch. This is hard to watch. I get nothing here because I'm a fucking moron. But yeah, this is what I mean. Bad anti-air, should have used Crouch Fierce. No anti-air, should have used fucking anything.
I messed up my button there.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying though. But here he's trying to use as simple of a flowchart as possible, and I'm trying to use as complex as a flowchart as possible, right? I was watching a lot of Smug at this time. I was watching, you know, people, and that's the difference here, right? His flowchart is very simple. It's very simple, and I was shocked. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm using a lot of things. I'm trying to melee and then command grab without really incentivizing him or conditioning him to, you know, stop. I'm just throwing buttons out because I feel like it, because I want to. I'm throwing, you see this constantly. This is a big problem with my gameplay. I'm constantly just throwing out spin kicks very predictably. As soon as he throws an EX tornado, every single time I try to EX spin kick through it. No reason, no results from it. And I'm just burning meter and burning time and putting myself into an unnecessary -2 situation. And that's really the issue here, right? I'm using a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be using, and I don't know how to use. And the thing is this is a much simpler game, right? This is Street Fighter. This has a lot less moves than what the fuck is this game? Tekken. God, I'm tired. It's like 2 in the morning when I'm fucking editing this. Yeah, and G charge, random, no punish. I never considered my punish here, right? I'm silver, he's constantly mashing heavy kick on me. Every single one of those, I'm fucking G, dude. I should just light jab into EX ass fuck. And now half your health is gone. Random V trigger activation, just because, I don't know, I'm scared. Run up, command grab. Right? And now super, and I'm dead. Or not yet. Right? But what I'm trying to... But I have no structure. That's what I'm trying to say here. With this, I have no structure. I have no rhyme. I have no reason. I'm just doing things in the moment because they feel good, right? Because they've worked against other idiots I'm playing against in silver, right? These things right here, right? These things, V-trigger, forward fierce, dash up, and then V-trigger command grab. This shit works in silver. This shit works in silver, right? Not against this guy. He's gonna be walking backwards. He might check. He's playing fucking Cody, dude. He just has to mash X button and I'm dead. Right into super, right? He doesn't have to do shit, okay? And that's what I'm trying to say here. That's what I'm trying to say here. I'm doing way too much. I'm doing way too much and he's doing nothing. And I remember fighting this guy. I remember what I'm thinking and I'm like, no Zonk Knuckles. I was looking for those Zonk Knuckles the whole first game. And I'm like, what is he doing? Like, what is this guy? Like, is this guy human? I'm like, is this a machine? It's like he is... Like, there's nothing. Like, I remember fighting him and I'm like, this guy is so stale. Like, there is nothing going on. It's just... it was very simple, and I was genuinely confused. And then when I saw this, right, I saw this video, and I was just like, holy shit. I saw the first thing, I saw the name, I like it Ruffian, I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, I fought this dude, right? And I had to go see my match, and now looking back at it, it's really bad. I was really bad at this game. But yeah, it's just like, why, like, I don't know how to use that, right? I just threw that out. Why? Because I fucking felt like it. No rhyme, no reason. I wasn't looking for anything, and I wasn't prepared to do anything, and that's why I fuck up the conversion there, right? And that's the important thing, you know? This is what I'm saying. This is the difference between having a real prepared flowchart and a simple flowchart and not.
I messed up my button there.
You know? And even he's, like, now that I look back at this, he's not playing that well. Like, he's letting a lot of shit slide that probably shouldn't, especially on Cody. It was such an easy punish, you know? And he's just jumping in, which I don't think was part of the flowchart, but he knows I can't anti-air, so why fucking not? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. You don't need something complicated. You don't need to use every fucking move in the book, or else you'll just end up like me right here. I'm forcing myself to use fierce. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm forcing myself to use forward fierce. I'm forcing myself to use command grab.
I think you should play one.
I'm forcing myself to fireball. I'm forcing myself to V-skill. I'm forcing myself to charge. I'm forcing myself to do all these things without knowing why I'm doing them. I'm forcing myself to spin kick. And I'm trying to use all these moves, and I'm just confusing myself in this process. Why did I jump there? I don't know. Why did I forward fierce there? I don't know. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason.
We're playing Street Fighter, let's go.
That's all I'm saying, right? Don't overcomplicate your shit, right? Take it simple. Take it simple.
I'll tell you a little story. Okay, when I first started playing Tekken, alright, I played Bryan, of course, and you know what I used when I was in Brawler and yellow ranks, you know, like green and yellow ranks, you know what I used? I used neutral 3 to stop people from ducking. Neutral 3, I believe it's 16 frames, fucking, you just does this like spin around kick thing, and I wouldn't just stop there, I would go, if I thought they would duck, I would go 3, 3, 4, that target combo. Or not target combo, what the fuck am I saying? That string, 3, 3, 4. I would always do that. That string has problems. There are things you can do to exploit it. Very similar to Noctis's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, right? And at some point I realized this sucks dick. It's 16 frames. If I do back 1 and they mash, I get hit, and I was just like, what do I do? Down forward 2. I started using down forward 2. Down forward 2, down forward 2. If ever they tried to mash something, I back forward, down forward to them, you know. And it worked, right? I kept it simple. If I thought they would duck, I'd down forward 2, except for at some point, I thought they might duck, and what if they sidestep, right? What do I do now? And this is how you build upon your gameplay. You keep your shit simple, right? I think I could get to past green ranks, maybe past yellow ranks, with a simple Bryan flowchart. Jab, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, back 1, down back 3. I don't even need down 3 or down 4. Back 1, down back 3, down forward 2, down forward 2, 1, down forward 2, 3, and hatchet kick. I think I could get to orange ranks using just those moves. And a simple B&B, right? A simple B&B, you know. Just those 3 moves, I think I could get to orange ranks. Maybe add in 3 plus 4 for the neutral. Maybe that. But just those, I think I could get the orange ranks, right? Building a very simple flowchart, and then when those things stopped working, you add on to that. That's what I'm trying to say here, right? I down forward to them, right? I don't want them ducking, I down forward to them, and they sidestep. You can sidestep left when I try to down forward too. That's not a good situation to be in. So what do I do about that? Well, if I think you're gonna duck, and I also think you might sidestep left me, I have a solution. Down forward 1. Now I start implementing down forward 1 into my game plan. It's not as good. The fat punches. If I think you're gonna do that, I can go fat, 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 right? And that's how you build upon your game plan. You know, learning a character or a game is a bit like Legos, right? When you first start off a game, you've got this big box of Legos, and you don't know what to build. Just like when you're in fucking preschool or whatever, and they give you, it's recess, it's playtime, and you get that big fucking box of Legos, you don't know what to build, right? And there's this one guy, okay? This guy's a pro player. Let's call this guy me. Let's call this guy fucking Arslan Ass, right? This guy has this big Lego cathedral, super big. Every Lego brick is like a string. It's a thing you know in Tekken, right? It's a thing you know in the game. It's information that you have about not only your character, but the universal mechanics and the characters that you fight against. And these players have these massive Lego cathedrals, Lego skyscrapers, Lego towers, Lego cities, bro. And you got this box of Legos, and you don't know how the fuck where do I start with this? Don't just try and mimic their structure, right? Don't just try and mimic their shit. Start small. Can you build a little Lego house with the information you have? Sure. Now I can build a little Lego town. I can build 2 houses, neighbors. And I can build, cities. I can build bigger towers, skyscrapers and whatnot, and build from there, right? Every string is like a Lego brick. You build upon each other. You build upon situations. When I'm -3, I have these options that I can do, I might want to sidestep. I might want to just do nothing, If Kazuya's waving in my face, I've got a couple options that I think can work, right? And I got to choose from that based on what I think he's going to do. If I'm +3, if I'm +4, I'm +6, they're all different situations. Those 1 or 2 plus frames can make a big difference and change my options that I have. But I've only built those options. I wasn't born with these options. I didn't look up these options. I've learned these options because of playing, trial and error. What the fuck do I do when I'm here? And to stop this. And I'm like, oh, this can work. Always ask yourself that. If I do something, if this guy runs up and he does this move and, he's plus or whatever, what the fuck do I do about that? How can I prevent him from doing that move beforehand? Do your research, right? Try and test out that character, see what you can do in training mode, Can I anti-air it? Is it something like, Akuma's air fireball in Street Fighter, not Tekken. Akuma's air fireball. What can I do about that? You've got options. There's things you can do if you're prepared for them. Do your research, right? You have to take small steps. So back to what I was saying, my flowchart's simple now. I've got down forward 1. If I think they're going to sidestep me to the left, I've got down forward 2. Both of these to keep them in check. But what if I'm +6? What if I think they're going to mash and I want a little extra oomph? Why would I just settle for down forward 2? Some plus frames. Why? Why would I settle for that if I think they're going to mash? I could blow them the fuck up. And this is when I implement forward 3, Now I know the situation on when I can do forward 3. A new player might see forward 3 and be like, oh, it's counter hit launch, it's a mid. I should start using that instead of down forward 2. Why? Why would you use it? They'll back 3, and then they'll try to do forward 3, and then the other guy mashes. And they get fucking hit. Because they're not +6. They don't have enough time to make it safe, right? To get a counter hit launch. And you got to know when to use these moves, how to use these moves, but you build upon it. You can't learn the whole game in a day, and this is where I want to bring up, Leffen, right? And there's a difference between this guy and Leffen. Both of them is similar background. Both of them played Smash Bros, right? This guy, Ludvix, he does little to no research. I don't know what he was doing, but he did research, but most of it was terminology, and that's something I want to bring to the attention of Smash Pro players and why they're different from other fighting game players. Terminology is more important than knowing what the actual fuck you're saying. He constantly used the term laggy. What the fuck does that mean? Startup lag? End lag? Why is it laggy? This move laggy. This move laggy. Oh, I throw this out. It's so laggy. What the fuck does that mean? Are you saying there's a lot of end lag? A lot of startup? You can't just, they just say things. And this is something, I've known Smash players. I've played fighting games with Smash players, and they just say shit. It's like, do you even know what the fuck you're saying, right? He says snake edge. He says hell sweep. He uses terminology, right? But it's just, he talks about Korean backdash, and he's done some research, but it just doesn't show. It doesn't show, right? And he plays 100 games, and I think he ends at 3rd Dan or initiate. I could check. I don't care, right? He spent almost, I think he said 2 hours. He spent 100 games playing this game, and he's as good as he would be if he just spent 2 hours of doing research. Because whatever he was doing was not the right research. Now, he just was not doing enough. But you take Leffen, for example. Leffen went into Tekken, and he was just constantly bitching. From what I remember from his video, he just bitched. Wah. I can't be pro player in a day. Wah. He expected to come in here and be like, oh, I'm a pro player in Smashy Brothers. In a fucking children's party game. I can learn how to play Tekken in a week, right? He didn't. He fucking didn't. And he bitched and whined and said, oh, you just got to search up everything. You're constantly Googling things. You're constantly Googling things. And the problem he had was because he was trying to learn Tekken in a day. He was trying to learn the optimal punishes. I have to know the 12 frame, the 13 frame punish. There's all these punishes. No, you don't. No, you don't. As a beginner, don't worry your head about that, you know? If they're a little minus, do your 10 frame punish, whatever that might be, right? 1-1-2. You know, 2-3, right? Fucking, even if you don't know your 10 frame punish, just 1-2. 1-2, whatever, right? That's fine too. I suggest don't do that if you have a more optimal punish, because you might build bad habits and be doing that far within your Tekken career, and it's better. Like, I had that problem. I would constantly just be punished. I'm like, I'm not going to do 2-3. I'm too much of a bitch. I'm just going to do 1-2, and then either do 3 or 1 afterwards. You know, take my turn, take my plus frames, right? But, and I later had to change my muscle memory and change how I played just to do 2-3. Okay, I suggest don't do that if you have a better punish. Learn your optimal punish, right? And if it's more minus than that, know your optimal launch punish, right? If they're crouching, if you're doing it from crouch, right, you block a hell sweep, do whatever your launch punish is. Usually it's a while-standing move, right? Well, you know, a lot of crouching launch punishes are very easy. While standing, you know, 1, while standing 1-2, whatever it will be. While standing 2, all these things, right? If it's not that, then do whatever your quickest thing is. While standing 4, right? While standing 3. Whatever it is for your character. Don't overcomplicate it. Like I said, you don't need to know the optimal punishes for everything. And the more you play the game, the more you'll sort of learn frame data better, right? And at some point, you'll start to learn these punishes and they won't seem so complex. But if you try to learn everything in a day, you're going to overcomplicate yourself, just like this guy did. Except for he didn't do his research when he overcomplicated himself. He just wanted to use all these moves. So I'm going to do a little experiment. Let's say I have my flowchart, right? Let's say I keep them in check with down forward 2. Stop them from crouching. I go down forward 2-3, down forward 2-1. I use those moves also, right? If I think they're going to mash, down forward 3. Down forward 2-3. If I think they're going to, if I hit them and I want to take my plus frames, I think they're going to duck, I'm going to do down forward 1-2-1, right? And I'm going to use jab, 1-1-2, 1-2-3, 1-2-1. Down back 3. I'll use down back 3 to OTG also. And I'll use, what else can I use? I'll use back 1, hatchet kick, and for back 1 hatchet kick, right? Back 1 to take my turn, hatchet kick to, you know, hit them with lows with pressure. And for neutral, I can use 3+4 and forward 2. I guarantee you I could get to orange ranks with just those moves, right? Maybe touch up a little bit here and there. But let's say I tell a new player to just use those moves. This is your task. Get to whatever rank with those moves, right? And you have those news player, and your goal is to basically master those moves. Know when to use it, know how to use them, right? Oh, and dick jab. Dick jab is very important too, right? And if I block a hell sweep or a snake edge, I use while standing 1, rising upper, right? For Bryan, I'm talking about Bryan. And let's say I got to use those moves. If they engage, for neutral, let's say my neutral, it's just 3+4 and forward 2 mock punch, right? And these are 2 very strong moves, right? Especially in low ranks, mock punch is really good. A lot of players will run in and do, you know, their big plus on block move. Dragunov, Law players, even people playing characters like Bryan with back 1, they'll run in and try and just be plus, right? Boom, mock punch, boom, mock punch. If they run at me, I'm just going to mock punch, right? I can control space with 3+4, and it's extremely good, okay? But let's say I get to a point where people are now sidestepping them. With 3+4, they sidestep me. Mock punch, they sidestep me. Both very linear, and both I can be in big trouble. They sidestep me correctly for those, if I'm being too obvious with them. So what do I do? What do I do about sidestepping? Well, I have Bryan's forward 4, mock kick. I implement that, right? I start doing mock kick. After that, okay, well, they start running up and doing down back 3. They start running up and doing a low. All of these get snuffed. 3+4, too slow, get snuffed. Mock kick and mock punch, they're both highs, they get snuffed, right? So what do I do now? Well, now I add orbital into the mix, right? I think they're going to run up low, I orbital them. Boom, full launch. down back 2, back fucking, what is it, 2, 1, whatever the fuck. I don't remember. I don't remember that. It's all in my fingers. I don't know it off the top of my head. But yeah, just launch them and fuck them up for that. Right? But now I have that, and that's pretty strong neutral. I think you can get 2 orange ranks with just that neutral. Right? Okay. They're running up and jabbing me now. They're running up and doing 1, 2, whatever. 3 plus 4, forward, forward 2, forward, forward 3, too slow. Too slow, they get snuffed. I get blown up for doing that. Orbital, not going to help me here. I'm airborne, I just get blown up. Right? What do? Northern Cross. See, a Noob, and boom, just like that, I have a very simple flowchart for what to do with Bryan and neutral. Run up and jab, Northern Cross. Control space with 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4, 3 plus 4, 3 plus 4. Very infamous move in Bryan's kit. They run up jab, Northern Cross. They run up and are going to do a big move, Mach Punch. They run up and they're going to sidestep or something like that. Do a sort of evasive move, Mach Kick. They run up and do a low, Orbital. Very simple. Very, very simple flowchart, right? And you just add upon it. Like I said with the Lego, you add upon your knowledge. You add upon your moves. You're not going to learn in a day. But learn how to master 3 plus 4 and Mach Punch before you start throwing in orbitals and Northern Crosses and stuff. Because when you start just throwing in, oh, here are my 5 moves for neutral, now I'm going to confuse myself. Now I'm just going to be like, oh, when do I use Mach Punch? When do I use Mach Kick? When do I use Northern Cross? You don't. Know when to use 3 plus 4 and Mach Punch. 2 very easy and simple moves. And when people start exploiting you for using those moves too much, then it's just like, what do I do about that? And then you figure it out from there, right? And now I don't need to figure out later what Mach Kick does. I know what Mach Kick does. Because I know now, oh shit, that's what I use Mach Kick for. I don't need to go through trial and error of fucking with Mach Kick. But let's speed this up for a bit, alright? Of course, there's more nuance to Bryan's neutral than that. Not much, but there is. Let's say I'm a new player. And I hear that that's, the 5 moves of Bryan's neutral. The 5 scary moves of Bryan's neutral, right? Or let's say I don't know shit about Bryan's neutral, right? But I'm using those moves anyway because I'm in tune with the elements, except for Northern Cross. I learn all that shit. They sidestep. I start with Mach Punch and 3 plus 4. They sidestep me on Mach Kick. They run up and low at Orbital. Very simple. But let's say I've been led astray. When they run up and jab, I think, oh, I'm so stupid. What do I do to stop run up and jab? Snake Edge. I Snake Edge them. Now, Snake Edge as a way to prevent run up and jab can work because it does have evasive, properties, but it's not a good idea. Anyone with any knowledge of Snake Edges knows that's not a good idea. But I'm a new player. I start doing that. And then I start to realize the holes in that. They run up and they jab and then they block in and I get fucking launched for that, right? And I start realizing maybe Snake Edge isn't a great tool to beat run up and jab. So I get to thinking, okay, what can I do? I can crouch, right? So if they try to run up and jab me, oh, I can wall standing 1. Launch them. Great. This is much better, wall standing 1, it does work. That is an option you can do. But then you start running into a problem, right? They start baiting it. They don't get that close. You're whiffing it. You're looking like a dumbass. And then you get to thinking, it's like, oh, what can I do? Fisherman Slam. Why don't I use wall standing 2 instead? Does really good damage. Pretty good move. So I start using wall standing 2. Launch, right? And then the holes start coming with that. They can sidestep me. They can find ways around it, right? It's minus. They start exploiting it, right? Maybe it's not the best move. Then I realize, Northern Cross. I can use this. And that player who went through that trial and error and learned, I can use wall standing 1. I can use wall standing 2. I can use Northern Cross, right? They have 3 moves now at their utility to prevent a run-up jab in different scenarios, right? They might use Northern Cross more, because that's usually what you're going to use. It's much bigger, it tracks, and it's much better, right? But a player who's just been told use Northern Cross and just uses it, that other player is much more experienced. They know more, right? And they know how to use those moves, unlike the other player who's just been told, oh, use that, right? What I'm trying to say is you build upon your moveset, right? You build upon the skills and things that you've learned, A lot of these top players, they don't realize all the shit that they're doing. They just do them. They don't think about them. They're not thinking about, oh, how do I do this, right? They're not thinking about doing a quarter circle. They're not thinking about doing this setup. It's in their fingers. They just know how to do it, right? And they're like, I need to do this setup now. Done. They do it. They don't, it's all decision. It's not execution, right? And the reason is because they've spent time in the game. They've built this flowchart. They've built their Lego cathedral. They've built it upon experience. They've seen errors in moves, and they don't use those moves. They've seen the good in certain moves, and they use those moves over others. And that's really what I want to say here. Don't confuse yourself. When learning a game, don't confuse yourself. I think that's what Tekken's really good at, right? It's confusing. There's so many moves, and what's good and bad is not particularly clear, especially if you have no experience in fighting games, right? But look up guides for your character, right? Be told what your key moves are, and go from there, but you don't have to be so structural. If you find a problem with a move, use it if it works, but if it stops working, if it's too risky, maybe it's, consistently prevented, such as a snake edge or something, stop using it. It's not worth using. You don't have to use every other move either. If there's a move and it starts having an issue, starts having a problem, down forward 2, for example, for Bryan, you start using it and it's a good move, right? It's a very good move. But they start sidestepping left it, and you don't know what to do now to keep them in check from either crouching or sidestep it left. Start implementing down forward 1. Bryan's down forward 1, something like that, right? And this goes for any character. I can't tell you how to play your character, right? It's just, don't confuse yourself. And that's really what I've learned from playing Street Fighter. I've been playing Street Fighter, I've been doing this climb. And I've learned, don't confuse yourself. Take it one step at a time. Learn one setup at a time. Perfect what you have before moving on to the next thing. Know how to use the tools that you have. You build upon it. You build upon it.
Oh, and I just thought of another really bad Bryan string that you could use as a mid check. Down 2-3. This has to be, honestly, in my opinion, Bryan's worst fucking string. I have no idea what the use of it is. I don't think I've ever heard anyone mention it before either. It's a why does it even exist? Because I think it's the worst string because it's a mid non-natural hit combo, right? You need counter hit for it to be a natural hit, and I believe the second hit is like this knee strike, and it's minus 12, I think, on block, and it's mid. You can't delay it either. It's worthless. There's no tracking on it. There's no homing. No nothing, right? It's a horrible move. It's a horrible string. I've absolutely zero idea what the purpose of that move is. Especially when you have down forward 2, right? It's 15 frames, and it's just there's really no reason, right? Because I have to say it's the worst string, because while it can work sometimes if you get counter hit with a down 2, right? And leads to 40 something damage. I don't even think it gives you Oki. Well, it can work. The thing is a bad string, a gimmicky kind of knowledge check string like sidestep 2-3, right? You're at least gonna get somebody with that, but people are gonna be defaulting to just blocking mid, and you're just gonna be minus. It's just, I think it's Bryan's worst string. I think it's honestly his worst string, and you don't see it. And Tekken is really infamous for being one of the hardest games ever, right? It's not. Since playing Street Fighter, maybe this is biased, maybe it's just because I'm more familiar with Tekken, and preconceived notions of fighting games have been planted in my head that are false, but I don't think Tekken is a hard game. I don't. I seriously don't. I think Tekken's easy. Now, harder than most games, but I think Street Fighter is harder. Since playing Street Fighter 5, I think Street Fighter is harder. I think if you take, let's say,
let's say you take a pro player from Street Fighter and Tekken, and you have both of them have to teach someone who's never touched a fighting game before in their life at the same, like the same kind of skill level, right? The same potential to learn. And you have to teach both of them how to get to, let's say, a decent rank, right? Let's say that's blue ranks for Tekken, diamond for Street Fighter, okay? Right? These are two, like, decently respectable ranks, okay? Let's say that these are, the moral equivalent, right? Tekken, I think, despite Tekken's rank system being harder to climb in, because you don't get a win streak bonus, and just how it's structured, it's a lot harder to climb in, right? Despite that, I think top-level coaching that are both equivalent between both of these games, I think the Tekken player will learn faster than the Street Fighter player on how to get to Fujin, or blue ranks, right? I think faster than a Street Fighter player can learn to get to Diamond. I genuinely think that. I think Street Fighter is harder than Tekken. The difference is Tekken has more moves, right? A lot of moves to confuse you. And I think people get confused, they get intimidated, they don't understand what's going on, but when you do, when you reach that barrier where you know what moves are, you sort of understand more characters, you learn their animations, I think it's easier. I think it's an easier game. But it takes time, All these things take time. You can't learn it in a day or else it'll be a shitty game, right? Like Big Leff. Big Leff learned to learn the game in a day and he fell flat, You can't just download, fucking Tekken in your head, right? And become a top player. And that's really what he wanted. Leffen just wanted a game he can just pick up and then become best in the world in. And it's just, any well-crafted game is not like that. However, if past Leffen knew what future Leffen knows now, he would be very excited because there is a modern game like that, and it's called Guilty Gear Strive. And who the fuck even plays that shit anymore? It seems like every other day there's a new fucking top player, right? A new fucking, best in the world, and the only consistent players you see is like Hitoshi, who is a fucking Noob, but I've never heard of this guy before Strive, and then Leffen, because I don't know, Leffen likes the fact that he can just pick up this game and play it and become, the best in the world, because this game has no skill ceiling. Strive has no skill ceiling, and Tekken does, and that's what he doesn't like. And the thing is that shit just isn't fun, man. Like, I played Strive, and I played Zato, and I played Axel, and I played the game up until a little bit before Gold Lewis came out, and then I simply just got bored of it, and I haven't touched it since, and I felt no real like force to make me want to play it, no temptation to want to play Strive. You're not going to learn all the optimal punishes in a day. You're not going to know everything optimally. You don't have to. You're fighting people who are in fucking green ranks, you're fighting yellow ranks, you're fighting orange ranks, you're not fighting fucking me. You don't have to play optimally. You're not fighting Arslan Ash, you're not fighting Joka, you're not fighting fucking Anakin, you're not fighting Jimmy J. Tran, you're fighting fucking Booty Licker 69, Mario Love, fucking Josie player, right? That's who you're fighting, in fucking yellow ranks. You don't need to learn everything. You don't need to know your optimal punishes. Do what you can and build from that. If you're running into a problem, learn from that. What do I do about this? And if there's nothing you can do, maybe that's a weakness of the character. And if you don't like that weakness, maybe all of your character's moves are super linear. If you don't like that, you don't have to marry a character. Switch characters. Like I've said a million times before, and I'll say it a million times more. You're not marrying a character. Just because you change characters doesn't mean, you've divorced that character, bro. It's not like you just broke a vow that you're committed to, right? Switch whenever you want, okay? It's not a relationship. You're not cheating on them, all right? And I think it's actually a good thing to switch characters frequently. I like playing a lot of characters. Now Tekken, there's only one love for me in Tekken. I honestly don't like a lot of characters in Tekken, but the one love for me is Bryan. Bryan's my favorite character in all fighting games, right? But in Street Fighter, I've played a lot of characters. My first real main was G. I switched to Seth. I switched to Sagat. I switched to Zeku. I switched to Urian, and now I've been sticking with Urian. And I would switch again if I didn't have such little time, right? But now I really want to get to Diamond before Street Fighter 6. Yeah. All I'm saying is just don't overcomplicate it, man. Don't overcomplicate. Don't overthink it, dude. Learn what you can, and I feel like there's a lot of misinformation. I've been thinking about sort of showing what I've learned and maybe making a couple guides, maybe on Tekken, maybe on Street Fighter, and just trying to, give what I think, to the people, because I feel like there's a problem in the FGC. I feel like a lot of people are misinformed. A lot of content creators often sometimes don't even know what the fuck they're talking about themselves, you know. And those who do, those who are informed, a lot of top players, I really feel like they can't relate or put themselves in your shoes, you know. They can't relate or put themselves in a scrub's shoes, right? They don't understand. It's been so long. Like, you see like guides from Justin Wong, and they're bad. They're really bad. And it's not that he's a bad player, of course. Justin Wong is a great fighting game player, but I don't think this guy ever remembers a time where he was a scrub at fighting games. And he can't relate. Like, pro tip on how to get better at Street Fighter. Just block. Real fucking helpful, man. Real helpful. Block. Did you know that if you block, you won't get hit as much? Why didn't I think of that? You know, and like videos on footsies and just, you know, things about fighting games in general. And some things are just not talked about that I feel really should. It's hard to find good information about fighting games, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Tekken is as hard as people make it out to seem. I think Street Fighter is harder. And with my progression of playing Street Fighter, I've definitely gotten a lot better. Of course, silver to super plat, 1000 LP away from ultra plat, and I can for sure make that because I just went up 1000 LP today, dude. Like, so I can for sure make this, you know, and I can for sure make diamond, right? I have no doubt. I just need to play more. About 4,000 to 5,000 matches, 2 characters, and the reason why, I'm not gifted, right? I'm not some fucking, you know, I'm not some savant. I'm not some prodigy. I'm not just, you know, am I a genetic specimen? No. You know, I'm not some fucking genetic specimen, right? I'm not, I'm not special, okay? But the thing is I do my homework. I go in and I play, right? I don't play off. The thing is I ask questions. Don't autopilot. This is an important thing. Don't autopilot. This guy was autopiloting, for sure. When I watch his gameplay, it was just autopilot, right? He would just throw things out, and then if it worked, let's go. And if it didn't, he just gets fucking blown up, and he goes, oh, GG's. Don't autopilot, man. Don't autopilot. Always ask questions, you know. If you notice, a lot of top-level players, or intermediate players, dude, every time something happens, right? Every time there's a new reveal trailer, there's a character they're not familiar, and there's something happens that they're surprised about. Oh, is that plus? You always hear that. You constantly hear that. Oh, is that plus? This isn't just a thing that they say. They're genuinely asking themselves, yo, is that plus? And, you know, you'll constantly hear this. Is that plus? In reveal trailers, is that minus? Is that punishable? That's not punishable? You always hear this. Why? Because they're asking themselves. And the first thing these people check is if that is. You know, if something happens, they do something, and then you get hit. Oh, is that plus? And it's good to know. Is it plus? Shit, maybe it is. You know, maybe Zonk Knuckle is fucking plus. Oh shit, I checked the frame data. What can I do about that? Not much. You can be reversal. But no matter what, you're going to take dick in your ass. But yeah, just ask questions. You know, someone's doing something. What can I do about that? What can I do in that scenario? How can I avoid that scenario too? You know, if they jump in on me, right? If I get jumped in Street Fighter, let's say, and, you know, let's take it from a scrub perspective, right? On bronze, there's only 2 options when they're in close. It's throw or block. I throw, I get blown up, they mash. I block and they throw me, right? And I ask myself, oh, it's just a 50-50, what do I do in that scenario? And the answer is don't be there. Don't be in that scenario, right? That's the most important thing. Sometimes it's not about, you know, oh, is there something I can do? Sometimes you might want to ask yourself, how do I avoid being there? You know, not what do I do there? How do I avoid being there? How do I avoid being in the corner? How do I avoid, you know, my enemy being plus from a jump in? Anti-air. Simple, right? And just ask questions. I feel like fighting games aren't as hard as people make it out to be. But I feel like the reason a lot of people perceive them as difficult is because there's no one to blame but you. I think that's really it. I've played a lot of other games, right? I've played R6. I've played a lot of games, competitively, non-competitively, single-player games, multiplayer games. I've played R6. I've played, you know, hero shooters, which I think this is something a lot of fighting game players also can relate to, because a lot of these players, they don't play anything else, right?
They might play the off, single player game, but, I've played a lot of these games. And I think a lot of times they're just as hard. There's just as much to know. But the thing is the difference is there's someone to blame. There's someone to carry you. In fighting games, there's no one to blame but yourself. There's no one to carry you. You have to face the reality, and I feel like a lot of people just don't like that. You have to face the reality that you're trash, right? You have to face the reality that, you're not good at the game, right? But as a wise man once said, you got to get washed to get clean, right? You got to get washed to get clean. So, learn upon your losses, And I feel like that's why a lot of people get hard stuck in other games, but tend to disappear in fighting games. A lot of people, they play fighting games and they disappear. But in other games like Overwatch, League, Rainbow Six, people get hard stuck a lot. They don't disappear as much as fighting games. And the reason is because they can always blame their team. They can always blame, who they queued up with. Oh, this guy's running it down. This guy's feeding. This guy's TKing. Whatever the excuse is, right? There's always an excuse, but you can't make excuses in Street Fighter. You can't make excuses in Tekken. Sometimes you can blame the character. Sometimes, this motherfucker's carried. But that only gets you so far. Sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror. Maybe, I'm playing a low tier. What the fuck are you playing a low tier then? If you're going to bitch about playing a low tier, play someone else. I played Zeku. I think that character's dog shit. I think he's bottom 5. You may not agree with me. A lot of pro players' tier lists may not agree with me. But hey, that's my opinion. I think Zeku's fucking dick. So you know what I do? I don't sit there on Twitter and Reddit bitching about how bad Zeku is. Instead, I pick someone else. Don't have to marry a character. I say G is random. G is inconsistent. A lot of people agree with me. G is a robbery-based character. I don't like that. You're not going to consistently win with G sometimes. So what do? I don't sit there and bitch about, woe is me. Life is so hard. I got to play this robbery character, and it's so hard to rank up. No. If I don't want to play, I like G. I still like playing G. But if I want some structure, I'm not going to sit here and bitch. I'm going to play someone else. Right? You can only run from yourself for so long. And I think a lot of people don't like to accept that. But when you accept that everyone starts from something and you can't always blame someone else, and sometimes you have to admit you're fucking trash. I'm trash. I'm not good. I'm fucking super platinum in Street Fighter. Alright? I was silver a couple months ago. You could be silver right now. And with a little bit of research and a little bit of critical thinking, you can be super plat also. If I can do it, you can do it, dude. I did 2 different characters from scratch. It's not hard. I'm not gifted, dude. And I still have a lot to learn, right? I think that's a big thing a lot of people forget also. The most important step to improving is knowing you have a problem. What can I do better? I can list 10 things off the top of my head. I can anti-air more consistently. I can do optimal combos. Oftentimes I don't even spend meter. Oftentimes I only spend meter just to randomly EX tackle. That's a big problem. EX tackle, I just put myself in, I try to play red light green light with EX tackle, I put myself in -2 situation all the time when I really shouldn't risk it. My execution is dog shit. I have terrible execution. I drop combos constantly. I miss input constantly. I'll constantly randomly tackle in neutral because I'm holding backward and I try to medium kick and boom, medium tackle. Do that all the time. I don't spend meter on shit except for super and EX tackle, like I said. That's not good. But my footsies could be better. I can confirm from medium punch and crouch medium punch a lot more consistently. I could learn to use the V mechanics a lot more. I hardly use V shift or V reversal and they're very strong. I really should. A lot more, I could, try and bait, I could be better at shimmying. Oftentimes when I shimmy, I just do walk backwards, medium punch, tackle if I want to shimmy. I could try and be cool and try to do crouch fierce, there's so many things I could be better at, right? There's so many things. I could try and stop trying to do that dumb fucking forward medium punch -2 shit and try and take my turn back because they're scared of a follow-up. Urian's not Bryan. I can't do that, right? I have so many problems. So many things that I can improve upon. I'm not good. Not good. You watch my gameplay, I'm ass, bro. I drop combos all the time. Go back and look at my gameplay. I am not good, dude. Even now, I'm in super plat. That's not a high bar. Don't put players on a pedestal, man. Don't fucking do it. A lot of these players, even in Diamond, are fucking ass, dude. They do dumb shit. A lot of these pro players, bro, I've watched an unholy amount of pro Street Fighter recently. I watched EVO 2022 in person, in fact. That's why I wanted to rank up in Street Fighter, right? That's why I started climbing in Street Fighter. I came for Tekken, I saw Street Fighter, and I'm like, damn, now I want to play Street Fighter. That's the reason I started this channel. It's the reason I started this climb, right? I watched all of NA Street Fighter League. I watched every CPT. I watched Capcom Cup. I watched pools in Capcom Cup also. I watched groups. I watched top 16 to the very final thing. I watched a lot of pro play. And you got to take notes, right? Sometimes just watching top level players, you'll subconsciously learn things that you maybe don't, you know, and take notes, you know, watch them, you know, don't just look at them, watch them, you know. I watched a lot of shit, and I've seen a lot of shit that's like, what the fuck, this guy's ass. Now, of course, any player in any of those tournaments, you know, any of those, fucking whoop my ass 10-0 in a first to 10. Any one of them, I guarantee you. Maybe not. I don't know. Some of those guys in some of those CPT regions were a little bit suspect, bro. I think I could qualify. In like, I don't know. I think I could qualify in some of those regions, man. Some of those were a little bit suspect. You know, when you got golds in your top 8, I don't know about that, but there's a lot. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot more. But you gotta know what your weaknesses are. You gotta know what's bad, what's good. If it doesn't work, throw it away. Sometimes you might want to throw it out, though. Sometimes a gimmick might be a good thing, right? Don't be so structured. If you're playing completely like a robot off just, you know, if you're just playing off a robot off what is the optimal thing to do right now at this moment, you're gonna lose, man. Sometimes you gotta break the mold a little bit, but too much and then you're just random and you're gonna get nowhere. You're gonna be running on a fucking treadmill. Ask questions. There's a problem. If you got a problem in your gameplay, what can I do to fix that? What can I do to avoid this situation? And if your character is dog shit and there's nothing they can do about that, that's a weakness of the character, don't play them. If you don't like that, don't play them. If you can live with that weakness, I can live with Bryan having trouble to get in. I can live with that. It's not the end of the world, right? And of course, always realize and accept your flaws. Once again, you're not perfect. You are ass at fighting games. Until you have won a major tournament, you are ass at fighting games. And I will live with that statement. You are dog shit at fighting games. Till you have won a major tournament. Bryan F is fucking ass at, has he won a major tournament? I don't think he has. Bryan F is fucking ass at Street Fighter. Quote me on that shit. Sajam is fucking ass. Don't listen to him. He's fucking dog shit. These people that think they know what they're talking about are fucking ass at the game. I'm fucking ass at the game. Maximilian's really ass at fucking everything. That guy's had a whole fucking decade. Bro, dude got the Gembu in a whole decade, bro. Unless you have won something, you are ass. Accept that. Even these top level players, they still know their flaws. Idon, he has flaws, man. And he knows he has flaws. And he tries to improve upon them. Punk, he has flaws. All these players, man, they have flaws. And they know that, and they want to improve on them. The first step to getting better is realizing you have problems. There are things you can do to improve. That's it. I'm sort of getting redundant here. I'm digressing. But yeah. I don't know. That's all I really have to say. You know, you're your own man. There's no one else to blame in fighting games. I don't know. That's really all I have to say. I think there's a lot of misinformation going around in fighting games, and I really want to clear up some of that. I'm thinking about starting to make guides, give basically my information, what I've learned playing Street Fighter and whatnot. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that can be cleared up. But I don't know. Peace.